Welcome everyone to episode 140, version 2 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Penteloresco. I write stuff and podcasts too. The last episode, I referenced an author and it became public. And so I'm putting this disclaimer at the beginning, along with a public apology. Now, if you're listening to this, I know it's a little bit more than what we agreed to speak of. But due to the nature of how public this was, I don't see any other way to do this. So, first and foremost, I want to say the following. Everything that happens in this story is on me. Good, bad, and indifferent. I am responsible for all my actions, all my chances, all my consequences. But second, I felt the need to do this. To the author, I can't blame you if you never trust me again. Can't fault it one bit. But I am truly sorry for if anything I said hurt you. It was never my intention to throw you under the bus. That all said, I wish you well. Okay. Let's get to the story being told. I was in Phoenix, Arizona when the story started, and I was going to go back to Calgary, Alberta. I had a buddy of mine who got me a job at a print shop up here, and it was just going to be a matter of me moving up and getting my thing and living on a couch for a while and working and finally just making it happen. While I was down here, I was at the Phoenix Comic Con, and I interviewed a bunch of people, including this one author. And really cool to be able to meet him because once upon a time, he was my first indie comic. It was great. Great stuff and awesome stuff. And he emails me about what I'm doing, and I tell him what's going on, and he offers me a job. Dream author gig, job. Dream author gig, job. Most of us go all in on the author gig. I did. It was the very beginning, especially was awesome. It really was. I learned a lot. Even the end when it didn't go well, I learned a lot. But we're gonna go right to that point. I ended up working for the author. It was great for a while, and eventually it didn't work out. And it left me figuring out where to do from there. And this, I gotta say, for me at that point, I was kind of pissed. And I'm not going to go into why. That really doesn't matter. I had this really, really big chip on my shoulder. And I really need, you can make an argument that this was the biggest mistake of this whole enterprise. But I gotta say, I needed that chip. It pushed me in ways that I need to be pushed. Now, it eventually became something really, really terrible. But especially at the beginning, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I really needed to grow in some areas. I needed my own place. I needed my own space. I needed kind of my own independence. And I got that very shortly after things kind of ran their course. I got a job at the gas station, and which. Actually, there's two very strong emotions on that one. One, I'd kind of done this job before. There was a real part of me, and when you go for something that you really want to go for, and it doesn't work out, one of the bitterest pills you have to swallow is going back to something more mundane. And in some ways, it's worse when it's something you've already done. The gas station job was something I'd already done, and being there literally in the middle of nowhere, was a very bitter pill to swallow. But I needed to swallow it. But on the other hand, and this is the flip side to that, where I was, it was difficult to get work. To its detriment, to be very honest, in some ways. One of the big problems where I was living was money. Employers and employees, pay was really tough to come by. I remember going into the gas station. There was this what's the term there? There was these gentlemen wearing what I wear now when I do my day job. And they would, I remember they would go weeks without a paycheck. They were working construction. And sometimes the companies had money, but most of the time they didn't. This is where I started hearing the phrase lucky. No, something where it started, but lucky to have a job became a common theme during this time. I, of course, wonderfully ignored this until far later, but we'll get there. My pace, just doing things in town, was kind of Herculean looking back at it, because I didn't have a car, and I literally would walk back and forth between both cities all the time, doing what I needed to do, whether it was grocery shopping, whether it was getting trash, whether it was whatever it was I was doing. Like I was always moving, always on the go. To my detriment, eventually. So my first tooth cracked while I was working at the Maverick, and it cracked about 3 months after I started working there. I remember it was a Coke. It was a Coke. I remember this because I slurped onto it within the straw, and I heard a crack. And and then I seen my tooth fall into the thing, or at least the chunk. I feel it with my tongue, and the piece of it just goes right into the chunk. It's like, wow, that was something to see. A couple weeks later, maybe a little longer than that, but not that much longer than that, my second tooth cracks. It kind of disintegrates, actually. I know it was more crack than disintegration, because what ended up happening there was I bit into a French fry, and when I swallowed the French fry, that piece of tooth was gone. So maybe it was the fry of doom trying to kill me. I don't know. Yeah, but that was a thing. And I remember there was a gentleman trying to get back into the military, and I don't know if I was doing everything he was doing when he was starting, but I was close some days. And this was just me surviving. That pace, I was fueled by that chip. I was fueled by passion, because I didn't stop ever doing what I was doing. I was working on my first comic during that time when I wasn't working, and I kept working on it and moving and going and doing. And suddenly, things go like this for a while. Then things start to happen. My boss goes through a separation. Not something I haven't seen before. Finds himself a girl to play with on the side. Also not something I haven't seen before. He hired her and cut my hours of my shift to bang her. And that's what he did. It was unbelievable. And lucky to have a job came up here. Quite a bit. To the point that anyone that tells me that, I think is full of shit. because that was not lucky to be part of it all. I didn't last much longer there. I remember walking out, and like I said, kind of sketchy how that all ended. And honestly, it's fine. I need to do something else, and that's when my physicality got much more. I was between jobs for about 6 weeks, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but that's what it felt like. And I would. That's when my hitchhiking days began. It got far more hitchhiky as time went on, but so I remember this. I would during that point. That's when my first major rent failure happened. During that point, I would go to the next town over. I would walk. I was put my thing door to door like crazy. I'd come home somehow, some way, and I'd sleep and repeat until I finally got a job, which was at Walmart, stocking shelves at night. Getting to Walmart was challenging. So what I'd have to do this is I'd have to get up around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And the reason why you had to get up around 3 o'clock in the afternoon was you wanted to be sure that you were on the road invisible. One time I tried doing it around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night. More reasonable, sane hours. And it got dark. I think that night in particular, I ended up walking probably 12 miles altogether. When you figure out me stocking shelves, walking as much as I did out of town. Because I know I cleared quite a bit out of town before I got picked up. To the point that I think I'd gone about 5 miles out. And then when I got into town that day, I ended up walking about another 2 or 3. And then between my stocking and what I had to do to go home, yeah, it really was. That was if I went late. So I had to go out at 3 because it guaranteed me, or at least I'd get into town. And once I was in town, I could get to work. It'd take me an hour to walk. But that was my adventure for quite a few months. And then definitely lost weight. Wow, did I lose weight during that time? But so 3 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, I guaranteed myself a ride. I'd go. Later, a bus would start running. The bus was good because I didn't have to hitchhike anymore. But the thing is, the bus only took you to the edge of town. And you'd have to still, once you were in the edge of town, go to the far end of town to get to the Walmart. You had to go down and south and blah, blah, blah. Anyway. It was, like I said, I did it, man. I did that for a few months. And then things kind of really fell apart. I ended up moving into the other town, which was good because I don't know if I would have lived if I kept doing that. Because it got close. It's funny. Sometimes it's the first time in my life I experienced a temptation where it wasn't like a right or wrong kind of deal. It was more like, do you want to do this kind of deal? And this happened a few times during this point in my life. Not everything I did was good. I digress. But the point is, I ended up kind of seeing a specter of death, and it's the only way I can describe it. It was like this black shadow in the distance, and I knew it was coming for me. I somehow knew it was coming for me, and that scared the piss out of me. And yeah, it was also the first step to me leaving. It wasn't the vast major step, but it was the first step to me leaving because I really need to leave. Um, so I kind of I want to say, um, yeah, that was a moment. Let me tell you. And I knew I wanted to live, and I had things to do. And it was almost like something gave. And I lost my job shortly thereafter that, which was fine. I wasn't going to be there much longer. I got to mention the school I was going to at the time. They had this course called Northern Plight, and it was a magazine course. I did it for 2 years. I did it from when I was with the author to when I left. And what ended up happening there was it was really, I needed that. I needed that the first years and the second years. I was there with. It was my first editor. I learned an awful lot about editing. In the second year, I had the chip on my shoulder was handy here. Although I know I drove my editor nuts. Absolutely fucking bonkers. Kristen, it is a miracle you did not kill me. It really, really is. And I thank you for not doing so. But I gotta thank the whole crew: Barbara Hockabell, Angel Cerritos, Lacey Biederman, Crystal Dyer, Chantel Skousen. I gotta thank T.S. Eliot. Fuck it. John Reinbar, the other guy I gotta thank. I gotta thank T.S. Eliot, because that was entertainment for myself and Ryan especially. That is a story in of itself that's worth telling another time. Because there's this one point where both of us got to watch Kristen lose her mind. That was priceless. Yeah. I'm Jesse Markham, Soup Bowl Prophet. Hey Jess, I hope you're doing well, man. Man, Kyle, can't remember his last name. Damn it. Awesome sculptor. He was amazing. One very cool story, and there's one other person I'm missing there, but we had a really kick-ass, especially the second year. We had a really kick-ass crew, and yeah, it was fun. It was total fun. I learned an awful lot about design. I learned an awful lot about how to construct anything, really. And it definitely plays into my creativity even to this day. So yeah, Northern Plight, thank you very much for keeping me sane during all this. But when it ended, it was my time to leave. I remember a friend of mine coming up to me going, because I almost went back for one more year of Northern Plight. I didn't do it. They didn't need me. They really didn't. Their magazine the last year was so kick-ass. Like, that was one of the best magazines I've ever seen. But I was almost there, and then a friend of mine goes to me, "What are you doing?" He says, "You're not one of those authors that are in book clubs going nowhere. You're not, like, you have a greater destiny to go to." And I remember this. Leave. Like, she said it as my friend, just leave. And she was right. You know, I was at the point too where I didn't have the energy to look for work anymore. I was broken at this point, like really, really broken. I hit my limit. Like, you know, I think the hardest thing about this whole process, the absolute hardest thing, is the fact that you think you're strong and you're tough. You really do. And you ended up what's the term? Just defeated. Like, terrible things in some cases are happening to you. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. You know? The last half of 2009 Not the last half, the first half. Man, it was probably the most tumultuous time of my life. One of them, anyway, for sure. And wow, it was like I was going through a wave. It was like a crazy, wild wave, and yeah, there wasn't a damn thing I could do about it. As my buddy Angel says, sometimes all you can do is just keep on keeping on. That's what I did. That's all I did till the very end. So this last story is just damn cool, and I bring this up because I'm a lot closer with her now. We weren't as close then. Let's see back. She's my sister's awesome. I am her biggest fan. I think she is truly, truly far more talented than I am. Like, super smart, sharp, amazing. She makes my world a better place. She really does. And she really made it here. I kind of saw a bit of a minor miracle. I didn't grow up being able to see my pictures as a kid. A lot of people take this really for granted, and especially in this age of phones and selfies, and we take pictures of everything but the kitchen sink. But there was I had no photos of anything I was like when I was a kid. And here I was, seeing this kid with his sister, and my dad, a young man, my mom, a young woman, and suddenly it was right there. And it really crystallized what matters. And I hit this wonderful point. I looked at my stuff, all my stuff, and I just stopped caring. Not in like, oh, well, fuck my stuff, I don't care about life anymore. No, the other way. It's like, you know what? It doesn't really matter anymore. I was ready to get rid of absolutely everything. My books, my comics, it didn't matter to me. I was free. I was gone. In my head, I was already gone. And this last thing was probably it was the second greatest source of strength I've ever come across, next to nothing to lose. It is, if you're free, if you are willing to let everything go at any moment, there is nothing anyone can do to you. Like, literally nothing. Right? Because it doesn't, like, you can't be hurt. You can't be contained. And I hit that point, and it crystallized everything. And I mean everything. I came back to Calgary. Now, there's more to this story. I had 6 broken teeth when I came out of Calgary, came back. I kind of want to point out a couple small things, though, before I close the book on this town. For a long time, I hated my time here. How couldn't I hate my time here? I put everything I had, whether with the author, the gas station, Walmart, anything I did, it all turned to ash. Whoosh, gone. Doesn't exist anymore. I hated that very much. Again, bitter pills. There's some bitter pills we all have to swallow. But my mind changed, and we're gonna get to that phase 2. So the first 2 years back in Calgary, I'm just rebuilding my life. Like I need to rebuild. It took a while to get my bearings again and find my steadiness, and everything worked out just fine here. Like, they really did. More ways than one. Then I got this chance I didn't really get the chance to really fix my teeth here until about 4 years ago. Maybe 3, but for sure 4. Maybe 3. Maybe 3, but somewhere around there. And I didn't do it. So when I came out on the other side of this, I looked at my teeth as kind of like the price I had to pay. And really a price I pay again too. Because when you get right down to it, I learned who I was going through what I went through there. I was not meant to stay there. It wasn't built for me. And even if I think I had done everything perfectly, I don't think I'd stay there. I don't think it would have worked. I think things would have just at some level kept falling apart. It really was the wrong place for me to stay, but it was the right place for me to grow. And I learned an awful lot about myself, good, bad, and different. I understood a lot of things differently too, especially my parents, with some of the things I did. I understood them both a little bit better. And empathy's good. Really, empathy's good. Hopefully one day if I have kids, because of what I've learned, hopefully they learn the same thing. No one judges you hard. No one, I think, has the right to judge you more than the people you raise. That all said, I learned a lot of other lessons too. I think one of them probably another really important one I should bring up is it's okay to be the bad guy. It really is. Look, we can't be heroes all the time. Nobody can. I think parents really get this more than most because parents have to be tyrants to their kids a little bit. They got to tell them no to this, no to that, and you've got to be bad. You can't let your kids walk all over you. And as an adult, that's a very useful skill. But sometimes, even so, sometimes the absolute right thing to do is to be the bad guy. It is the right kindness sometimes. And I learned that too. Sometimes you're just a dick. But sometimes it's the right kindness. Finally, I'm back. Years have gone by and I have not fixed my teeth. And the onus there is, why wouldn't you fix your teeth? Battle scar is part of it. But also I just wasn't ready to do it. Really when you get right down to it, I just wasn't. I had to let more things go, and I did. But I think the final straw came this year. And that's when I said, I gotta do this. And that's when I bit into a corner of the cob at a party. I heard a clunk, very hard, and my last front tooth fell out. The interesting thing about the last front tooth is it was also my fakest tooth. That tooth was damaged a long time ago. Once with a wrench and another time with a head-on collision. So that tooth was in pieces long before anything else was. So when it was fixed, it was it hung on mildly until a fall. So, but once that was done, I could no longer deny some things. And strictly speaking, this is an intellectual point of view. Strictly speaking, I made that decision because I had goals to achieve, and it was time to fix this. About a month or two later, I was angry again. but it was different. It was a hurt, and I couldn't figure out why. Like, because again, this is one of those, you think you're through things. My sister wisely pointed out that sometimes your anger comes in layers. You feel hurt and you feel really, really, and there was a lot I was hurt about, especially that time. Being helpless while everything kind of falls apart, or feeling helpless and abandoned, and all those emotions were there. And it's just one of those things where you have to kind of, you feel it again, and you're like, what the hell is going on? And it's this stuff you thought was dead and buried and gone and forgiven and all that crap. And yeah, like it's really funny, and the other thing too, and this is the other reason why I don't mind that I broke my teeth. It really don't. I learned so much about myself. And I still am. I mean, this has been a really great thing. You learn about your flaws. Like I said, being the bad guy is out there, but you learn about your flaws too. Like, but you go into your blind spots. Going through anything like this, you learn your blind spots. You learn your biases. You learn when you feel what you feel. And that's the thing. Feelings are kind of like feelings. And again, you work your way through them. So all this is to say that I'm ready to do it. And unlike last time, this time, I'm asking for help. Doesn't mean I expect anyone to give it to me. I want this to be really understood here. I want this to be really, 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 really understood here. I'm not trying to be a tough guy, but I made the decision I'm going to do this, regardless of what may come my way. If that's the case, what may come my way, if this is the case, then I need to be prepared to go it alone. I don't expect. One of the truest things I've learned in this life is no one owes you anything. No one. I learned gratitude going through this, and empathy going through this as well. Nor am I going to say that I'm the toughest guy on the planet. There are people that go through way harder shit than I went through. I'm not saying what I went through was easy, but call it the hardest thing on the planet to walk through would be a lie. There are people I like doing this podcast. I have met some amazing people who deal with far deadlier stuff than I deal with, and to them I just say, you're stronger than I am. It's thank you time. That's why I brought this up. I have to thank. So, like I said, I'm still learning things to this day. And I think one of the more important things I learned about this is I really don't. This year forced me to re-examine everything. I mean, everything. And good, bad, and different. And one of the things I realized is the bad old days are dwelled upon way too much. I don't mention enough that, you think you're alone sometimes, but you're really not. No one truly is. I had the Mills family. They were in my corner no matter what. Every Sunday I would go over there for dinner, and I'd have whatever was made. Dell and Barry were great cooks, and Debbie, and Debbie's kids treated me like family in a place where I really needed it. They were kinder to me than I deserved. Like, they really were. And thank you. I can't. Trappers. Huh. During my hitchhiking days, trappers came to me one night. I remember it was really early in my Walmart run, and I was still kind of figuring out the times, and it was early evening, and I remember they came out. She came out and goes, "Well, what are you doing?" She's like, "Well, I'm at work because I only have 5 hours to get there, and that's really not much time when you're walking." She goes to me, "You can come on in. I can't pay you. That's okay. Eat." Holy shit. I had a lot of that from a lot of places. Some are quite unexpected. And I got one more thing I think that needs to be said here. Grudges, vendettas, forgiveness. Forgiveness was easier when you were younger. For some reason, that is actually really easy at a younger age. It's really hard when you're older. And finally, well, there's a link at the bottom, and you can do what you're gonna do. If you want to donate, you can. If you don't, that's fine too. My goal, the number's big. The final tally as of this conversation is not decided. Only because at this particular point in time, I haven't had the chance to really do it. I got a couple clinics to look at. I got a couple phone calls to make in the morning. And hopefully, I'll have it all nailed down. It'll be the week of January 8th. I'm in Mexico. I want to actually add something to this. I had a beta listener kind of listen to the first version of this, and I've been modifying it for the second version as we go here. She made a really good suggestion, so I'm going to do it. So, what am I wanting? I would love a zirconian implant. I think that would actually be fine. I don't know if I'm going to get the first strip around, but that would be if I go the implant route, it'll be a zirconian. Titanium isn't bad, but here's the thing. Titanium does some interesting things to the penis after a while. And I don't know about you, but I like my penis. And yeah, so there it's not necessarily gonna be a guarantee, but again, I like my penis. Probably the first time will be either a denture or a one of those bridge denture deals. I'm not sure which. And one of the things I'm considering long term about this is the fact that we are coming into an age where it's possible to regrow teeth again. And so 10 years from now, that might be a commonplace surgery, which is a really cool thing to think about if you really sit there and process that. So when I'm thinking about this, when I'm thinking about doing this surgery, this operation, I'm thinking about that too in the long run, because there is a chance that I will see a surgery where people grow their teeth back. I think that's damn cool. Yeah, like I said, it's awesome. So that's kind of where I'm going with it. But I got one more story to tell, and I think this is actually an interesting one, because I had to face, there was a really hard, the hardest thing about this whole process was the first dental appointment. It terrified me, like it unbelievably. I don't get afraid very much anymore. And after listening to some of the things I did in this podcast, you'll know why. There's not too much out there that phases me anymore. That all said, there comes a point where you gotta face your fears. The real reason I went to the dentist, this is gonna sound crazy because it terrified me so much. To be so afraid of something and recognize its power over you is another awesome realization. And the only way to truly be free of your fear is to face it head on, whatever that fear is. So that's what I did. My sister wanted to go with me, but in this particular case, this was the most important one in one sense, but also I felt it was the one I had to do alone because I needed to face my fear alone and of lessening its power over me. Am I as terrified of going to the dentist now? No, I'm not. When I did my first surgery already, and it was in October, and when they pulled out my teeth, that was because of my teeth being broken. I made that guy work for it. That my dentist just was yanking on it. I think the one thing that surprises people with my teeth is there's never been pain. Like even, I could go back to my time in Arizona and talk about my other near-death experience, and it did involve my teeth. If my dad was not there, I think I wouldn't have made it. Being perfectly honest, but that's another story. But this time around, everything that's happened to my teeth, there has been no pain. Not one iota of it. The only pain was the third needle. When he Novocaine me up, hit the nerve, and if I could speak, I would have swore in 5 different languages, like just 5 of them. It was unbelievable, and yeah, like I said, but beyond that, other than nearly falling out of my chair a few times because he was yanking so damn hard, it went well. I actually had more teeth on top than I expected to have. They were going to remove them all initially, and then it was possible to actually save some, and so I've saved some. That's the downside of doing the denture. The denture is going to have to, if I do the denture, it has to be really good because the other teeth will eventually go unless I take care of them. So I'm looking at that as well when I'm considering my surgery. So like I said, I've explored a number of different options. Depending on what I raise, whatever that number is, that'll go towards whatever comes up. And that's cool. Man, lots of lessons, lots of growth. This week I realized just how different a person I've become from the beginning. Still got some things to work on. I'm still growing. But what I see, my priorities are different. The other thing about getting older is you shift. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just you kind of look at things a little differently. Recent conversation showed me just how different I look at things now. I think all in all for the best. But yeah, it's just you grow, and when you grow, you change. Things just you evolve, and I like to think I'm a better person now than I was then. But much like everything else, there's a work in progress. Do I have any regrets? No, I don't. If I were to go back and do it again, I would. Everything good, bad, and different, I do it all over again. It is what it is. You live, you learn. I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't do it the way I did it, and I like who I am. So, you if there's one thing you can learn from this whole lesson, this whole story is take big chances. Because you know what? Safety doesn't get you shit. Life does not reward the mediocre. Life rewards the bold. Or it punishes the bold. But even in punishment, you can actually find that life doesn't end there. It keeps going. And you can make the best of it no matter what. I know I did. That will do it for another episode of Just Joshing. Like I said, there's a GoFundMe link at the bottom here. If you want to support me. I appreciate it. If you don't, that's cool too. You do what you feel is the right thing to do. But no matter what, next time, and stay inspired out there. All right.